Do you like strawberry-flavored ice cream? When the firefighters arrived, a group of teenagers were live streaming on TikTok. The firefighters told them to leave, but they just moved the live stream outside. The girl was shaking with fear.
I think I broke my arm. I can't feel anything. I'm really cold.
While measuring the girl's pulse, the firefighter put a jacket on her. During the questioning, the firefighter learned that earlier, a teenager came to buy ice cream, but while the boy was scooping the ice cream, the machine suddenly broke down and stopped. The boy put his arm inside to fix it, but his arm got stuck.
I'm stuck.
The girl came over to help, but she got stuck too. Luckily, the firefighters arrived in time and cut the ice cream machine open, freeing the girl's hand. But to be honest, why did he put his arm into the machine? The man woke up, found himself in a delivery box. He also has claustrophobia. Just as he was about to cry, he remembered that saying, "Queen never cry," so he stopped the tears. A few minutes ago, the machines in the man's factory suddenly broke down. He went to check them out. Then, the heavy shock made him pass out. His co-workers didn't see him because of the phone blocks. And since today is Christmas, everyone was rushing to get the gifts out. When the man woke up, he had already been shipped off on a truck. The emergency operator told him to try to break open the box, but the man was too weak from lack of oxygen. At that moment, the man suddenly felt the truck stop. He thought he was going to be saved, but he didn't know he was about to be shipped on a plane as cargo. It was the middle of winter, and if no one saved him, he would freeze to death. Luckily, just before the plane took off, firefighters arrived on time, found the man in the cargo hold, and took him to the hospital. I get the point, but why was the box so big? A guy drives right up on the curb and hits a woman. The firefighters and police show up. The guy stumbles out of the car, freaking out.
I've gone blind! Help me, I'm blind!
The firefighter checks his eyes with some equipment, asking him what happened to make him go blind. Strangely enough, the guy says nothing happened to him. He just went blind out of nowhere. The woman who got hit says he suddenly drove straight at her while she was just walking down the street. The firefighter checks his pupils. They're responsive. They start to think he's just pretending to be blind to avoid responsibility. One of the firefighters gets a clever idea.
I have a serious issue myself. Ogle, will you take a look at my chest? Because I didn't lay her up properly and I'm afraid that I'm getting frostbite.
The guy's eyes instinctively dart to her chest. Just like that, his blindness miraculously cures. The cops come in to take him away. The guy is still trying to argue, but at this point, no one's buying his story anymore.
Please help us! We're stuck! We're stuck!
A couple is trapped inside their car, with water flooding in rapidly. The water level is nearly up to their heads. Could it really be raining that heavily? It turns out the water is from a burst sewer pipe, and the immense pressure has caused chaos on the road. Another car crashes, leading to the opening scene. The water is about to rise over their necks. The firefighters smash the glass and climb in through the roof.
My leg's caught! It hurts!
There is a man and a woman inside the car. The woman's leg is trapped under the steering wheel, so they need to save the man in the passenger seat first. The man immediately refuses, saying he wants to stay with his girlfriend through thick and thin.
Guys!
Finally, the boyfriend climbs out after some urging. The firefighter then tries to turn the steering wheel, but it's stuck. The woman's leg is getting worse, and blood is pouring out. The captain tells him to stop the bleeding, or she'll be in danger.
Can't drain it, we move it!
The firefighter grabs a rope and, with the captain's order, the fire truck pulls the trapped car out. The woman is saved. The paramedic gets a call and heads over to the house. When the man answers the door, there's a huge wound on his face. She immediately knows it's from a gunshot. The man's son stands nearby, looking scared and anxious. The man says he thought there were no bullets in the gun, so he was just cleaning it, but it accidentally went off. The paramedic feels something's off. His story doesn't quite add up.
You don't have any powder burns. You sure the gun was close to your face?
It doesn't make sense. When the gun went off, it was just the two of them at home. The silence and unease in the little boy's face are a clear clue. The paramedic quickly puts two and two together.
Are you watching Daddy clean his gun? Daddy's gonna jump back when you pull the trigger, too.
The man really regrets not being more careful with the gun.
Keep the gun locked up, keep the key around my neck. Took it off when I was in the shower. He found it. It's not his fault.
His wife passed away a few years ago, and if the police find out what happened, his son could be taken away from him. He begs the paramedic to keep it a secret before she can respond. The police arrive. They quickly recognize the wound as a gunshot, and they start questioning what happened. The paramedic steps in and speaks for him.
I don't know. He sure isn't talking for a while.
She suggests taking both the man and the boy to the hospital. The police, seeing the situation, let them go for now. As they leave, the man looks at the paramedic, silently saying thank you. The woman was about to give birth. The doctor suggested she get an epidural, but her husband didn't agree, so she had to give birth naturally. A few minutes into labor, she started to regret it. The baby's head was too big, and it was hard for her to give birth. When the baby's head started to show, it went back and again, back and forth. It hurt her so much. She wanted the epidural again, but the doctor said it was too late because it could affect the baby.
On your next contraction, I want you to push exactly as you have been. I'm gonna push from above while Dr. Asher pulls from below.
Okay.
Push!
With both the doctor and the mom working together, the baby was finally born. She looked at her baby and felt so much love, but her husband, he didn't seem so lovable anymore.
A kid sprayed water at the woman. The angry woman immediately called the police, but the police hung up on her. So she grabbed the gun from the table, but then someone barged in. The woman tried to scare it away, but tripped over a statue, accidentally shot herself in the chaos. Finally, she fell into the pool and drowned. When the police arrived, the woman was swollen from being in the water. As the detective was wondering who the murderer was, just as the detectives were puzzled, a corgi crawled in through the doggy door. They finally knew the culprit, but they didn't plan on taking it back to the police station. If you were the cops, what would you do? The girl got hit by a car. Her foot twisted at a 90-degree angle. Just looking at it hurts, but the firefighter didn't give her anesthesia and straightened her leg with a bare hand. The pain made the girl scream loudly. On the other side, the driver causing the accident was also in a very serious condition. His entire head was stuck in the windshield while the firefighters were about to rescue him. He was actually murmuring a name.
Keith, is that your name?
No. Help, Keith.
It turns out there were other injured people in the car. The operator got a call. A guy locked himself in a safe, but his girlfriend was happy because a tornado just hit. The guy hid in the safe, totally forgot about his girlfriend, ended up locking himself in. Since it was his parents' safe, he didn't know the password. Because of the tornado, they couldn't reach the guy's parents either. The guy started having trouble breathing. The girl got panicked. She searched everywhere for clues. Finally found a football signed by Kobe. When the cops heard about it, she immediately told her to enter 0823 because it's Kobe's birthday. The safe finally opened, but the girl didn't want to date him anymore. Just now, a guy got stuck in a pile of corn. Firefighters climbed up to the top of the barn, telling the guy not to move to avoid sinking further. They walked on planks to get close to the guy, putting a rescue collar around his armpits. Then they inserted several iron plates around the guy. Afterward, they sucked out the corn within the circle. Suddenly, the safety rope on the woman broke. She kept sinking along with the flowing corn. The man beside her immediately untied his safety rope to pull her. Unfortunately, both of them ended up sinking together. The captain quickly notified outside to cut the iron sheet. He told the guy to get ready and release the protective gear under his armpits. As soon as the barn was cut open, the guy took a deep breath. Corn gushed out. The three trapped people slid out as well.
A girl is stuck 50 meters up on a power line. To avoid touching her and creating an electric circuit, the firefighters have to slowly put a rope around her, then ask her to let go with her hands. But the parents on the ground don't understand the danger. Just a moment ago, the firefighters got a call from the parents, saying their daughter had been taken up into the sky by a kite and might fall at any moment. The kite also hit a transformer box, sparking electricity. Rescue was urgent to make sure the girl doesn't touch the firefighters and get shocked. The firefighters have to move both fast and slow while tying the rope around her, but when they get one leg tied, the firefighter is very nervous. She's afraid the girl might suddenly let go or move and touch her, causing an electric shock. Luckily, nothing went wrong. Following the firefighter's instructions, the girl bravely lets go of the power line. The firefighter catches her in time, and she is safely rescued. The parents, who were blaming the firefighters earlier, now realize their mistake and quickly apologize. What do you think of this couple? It looks painful.
Oh no.
The firefighters surrounded him to check his condition. Luckily, it was only swollen, not broken.
All right, this is Gonna help with the swelling, all right?
Can you keep me covered up, man?
Yep.
What exactly happened? It turns out there had just been a fire in the neighborhood. Firefighters arrived to rescue the residents. As they brought people out one by one, they began investigating the cause of the fire. They suspected it was due to an overloaded electrical box. Then they went to the backyard and encountered the man. As the firefighters approached to ask him questions, he nervously started saying,
I'm not doing anything illegal.
Look, we're in Seattle Fire. We just want to talk to you.
Before they could finish talking, he jumped down directly. It turns out he had been stealing electricity from the neighborhood to mine cryptocurrency, but the high voltage overheated the CPU, causing it to burn. His jumping was purely out of a guilty conscience. A man wanted to cosplay as Spider-Man and climbed up a 100-story building without any safety gear. He almost fell and became a spider mummy. Luckily, firefighters arrived just in time. They took the elevator to the top of the building so they could stop the man when he reached the top. The firefighters got to the window, first using a suction cup to hold the glass in place. Then they pulled out a saw and started cutting. By this time, the man had made it to the top too, so the team worked faster, cutting through the glass just in time. Then the firefighter tied safety ropes and got ready to go out and rescue the man. The firefighter reached out to the man, but he kept dodging them and even let go of his hand. At that moment, the other window was also cut open. As the man moved to the side, a firefighter quickly grabbed him and dragged him back into the building. But if he really wanted to be Spider-Man, he just needs to get bitten by a spider. No need to climb that high, right? The girl was pinned under 2 tons of steel.
I can't breathe.
Try to stay calm. Nice slow breaths, okay?
Meanwhile, her father seemed to be doing all right.
Can you hear me?
My daughter, you have to help her.
The captain decides to save the girl first. The firefighters stabilize the vehicle and remove the door, preparing to rescue her.
How was my dad? Dad!
The girl is still worried about her father, but after an examination, the paramedic realizes she's deteriorating quickly. After a few minutes, the girl is finally freed. Next, it's the man's turn, but when the firefighters cut away the debris, everyone is shocked. It turns out that a steel beam had already pierced his body. He had been holding on the entire time. The paramedic determines he likely won't survive. The captain asks if he wants to see his daughter one last time.
No, I don't want her to see me like this. Will you tell her something for me?
Sure.
And tell her that she's good. She's really good.
Do you love your dad?
Well, I knew you were sleeping with her.
I am not!
WTF? When the firemen arrived, they thought he had been attacked. They were ready to call the police for him, but the man said no one attacked him. So how did he get those wounds? Turns out, he had just had an appendix surgery recently. The person who stitched him up was over 100 years old, so the stitches weren't done properly. Just now, the man sneezed, and it popped open the wound. His wife also explained, whenever he lies, he sneezes. If he hadn't lied about not cheating, his belly wouldn't have busted open. The husband looked at his happy wife, with angry. He said he never loved her, but unexpectedly, the wife found out he still loved her and immediately decided to forgive him. The husband promised he wouldn't cheat again. Then, come on, girl, if he really loved you, he wouldn't have cheated on you in the first place. The boy had 2 fingers blown off by a firework. The firefighter was treating his wound.
Hey! Watch it!
Knock it off!
But the kids wouldn't listen and kept messing around, even aiming fireworks at the firefighter. Seeing they actually hurt someone, the kids bolted, leaving the firefighter to deal with it. The female paramedic came over to tend to his wound. The firefighter brushed it off as a minor injury, but she insisted he disinfect it thoroughly and change the bandage regularly, giving him a list of reminders until he finally nodded. Just as the two shared a quiet, close moment, the female firefighter found the boy's missing fingers in the grass. If they could be reattached in time, the boy's right hand might still function. The man's thigh was pierced by Marlin's bill. The doctor wanted to cut it out right away, but the man firmly disagreed. This fish was one he had worked so hard to catch. The doctor had no choice but to arrange for him to get a CT scan first, while waiting for the results.
Are you okay?
What the just happened?
It turned out the fish's body had metal in it, possibly from a fishhook or something, which exploded upon contact with the equipment. Now the fish was definitely dead. Surgery was unavoidable, while the man was still worried about the fish.
Franklin! Oh no! Franklin!
No one knew that the next second, the man passed out. The female doctor quickly used her fingers to plug the wound, and they were both rushed into the operating room.
A man got stuck in the guillotine, narrowly avoiding a complete beheading. Fortunately, the blade jammed, preventing a successful cosplay execution. Nevertheless, the man suffered a neck wound, luckily missing the vital arteries. The paramedics first tried to reassure the man, and then brought cutting tools. Even with the combined efforts of several people, the blade remained unmoved, bringing the man's wife to tears on the side. So, the rescue team had to pick up the saw and cut. But the man angrily shouted for them to stop, because he needed the guillotine for a performance. The rescue team ignored him, cut the fixed point, used a spreader to open the gap, and finally pulled up the blade. The man was at last rescued, and as the paramedic looked at the wound on his neck, she couldn't help but feel a pain in her own neck. Man is stuck on the railing. A man, driven to despair after a heated argument with his wife, jumps from the 4th floor and is tightly wedged onto a railing. Firefighters rush to the scene. In a crucial moment, the captain decisively orders the use of a saw to cut through the railing. The man and the scalding metal are swiftly packaged for the hospital. As team members take up the saw, the railing grows hotter with each cut. Desperation sets in, dousing the searing metal with water to cool it down. With the last bar successfully severed, the man is temporarily rescued and smoothly placed onto a stretcher. As they approach the ambulance, the man goes into fibrillation. Urgency sets in. Defibrillation is imperative. Following the medic's command, the entire railing is swiftly removed. In a rapid sequence, the man is flipped, under the medic's expert hands, undergoes a defibrillation. His heartbeat quickly normalizes. He's hurried onto the ambulance.
He's just a bully with a badge. No, shame on you.
Hey, get out of the car!
Do not touch me! Just
Taser!
How outrageous are the police in Ohio? If you don't cooperate with a check, even with a child in the back seat, they'll smash your car window and may even empty their gun. That was traveling with her child when officers, citing illegal license plates, insisted on checking her registration. When the woman started live streaming on her phone, it only angered the cops.
I know, ma'am, I know.
Thankfully, the black female officer stepped in and managed to save the woman, but the officer who escalated things won't be so lucky. Legal consequences await him.
A truck had a blown tire and overturned, unexpectedly pinning a little girl under the fence. The position she was trapped in was extremely awkward. She would be crushed into a pulp at any moment. Just as firefighters were preparing to take action, the muscular man stopped the rescue.
Hey, that's gonna take time. She's getting crushed. We cut the fence off or we can get her out.
After confirmation, the captain immediately ordered a change in strategy. The man crawled through the fence to reach the girl. Meanwhile, others planned to use manpower to move the truck.
1, 2, 3!
You got it!
After 666 minutes, the truck was pulled away. The girl immediately crawled through the fence, but her shoe was caught tightly by the chain. Seeing the team was struggling, the captain rushed over to help.
Samurai, get out of there now!
At the critical moment, the muscular man used tongs to cut the chain, but the next second, luckily, both of them were safe in the end. The man's leg got stuck in the machine, and if it wasn't for his dog's warning, he wouldn't have noticed. When the firefighters arrived, the dog thought they were bad guys and started barking at them like crazy. After calming the dog down, the firefighters quickly went to help the man, giving him N4 and painkillers. Once the paramedics finished their work, the firefighters cleared the dirt, and the man's leg was fully exposed. His whole lower leg had twisted into a knot, and the first thing they had to do was get the leg out. The firefighter warned the man that even with the painkillers, he would still feel some pain soon. After getting the man's consent, a few firefighters worked together.
3, 2, 1.
Once the man's leg was freed, they quickly brought over a splint to stabilize his leg and then sent him to the ambulance. Just then, the man's dog broke free and started running after the ambulance. The paramedics saw the dog in the rearview mirror and quickly pulled over. Then, With the dog by his side, the man was taken to the hospital. A group of people is helping to rescue a boy. He was playing by the side of the road just now, but suddenly slipped and fell down. Luckily, someone nearby quickly caught him, but the slope was too steep, and one by one, they slipped down too. They could only hold onto each other's hands to stay safe. Firefighters rushed to the scene, bringing a rope and tying it to the fire truck. Then they started to climb down, rescuing people in order from the bottom up. The first firefighter reached the boy, tied him to the rope, and pulled him up. The second firefighter followed, protecting the next man, and they kept rescuing people one by one like this. However, when they reached the last person, there almost was an accident, but the firefighter quickly caught him, so he didn't fall into the river. Everyone was rescued safely. At that moment, the boy's mother arrived, and she thanked the firefighters.
Thank you so much.
Thank these folks, ma'am. Wasn't just us. And these folks?
If you were there, would you join them? The woman was hit by a falling rotor, unable to move. The firefighters tried to pull her out, but it was too heavy.
I'm gonna die, aren't I?
The handsome firefighter said out of blue,
Nice piece of jewelry you got here.
Please, don't make me laugh.
Shh, come on. You kidding me? This kind of thing happens all the time.
The muscular firefighter brought over a wooden stake to try to lift the rotor, but it didn't work. They could only use tools to slowly dismantle the massive rotor piece by piece. At this point, medical personnel arrived, but the two firefighters were still struggling to finish the job.
What's happening?
Nothing. I'm just hoping to get home in time to toss up my wife's cookies.
I told you not to make me laugh.
After 666 minutes, the girl was finally rescued. She no longer had to listen to cold jokes. A car is about to fall. Turns out the driver stepped on the gas to get a parking spot, but forgot it was the top floor. But honestly, why build a parking lot on the top floor? The driver crashed through the fence, and it hit the car below, causing serious injuries to the people inside. And because things were still falling, the firefighters couldn't help right away. Now both the cars below and above are in danger. To save time, they had to work on both cars at once. The firefighters drove into the parking lot and soon reached the top. The captain checked the car, but there was no time to secure it, so they decided to get the driver out right away. The firefighter jumped in, smashed the window with a tool, and slid into the car, but the firefighter lost balance, and the car swung like a seesaw. Meanwhile, the people below were just finishing tying the chain, so the firefighter quickly grabbed the man and jumped out of the car. The car fell straight down. At the last second, the fire truck started up, and the car was pulled away just in time. Have you ever been to a parking lot on the top floor? One after another, unknown objects are being pulled out from her eyelid.
It's like a clown car.
Think I got it.
Just now, the woman's husband made an emergency call, saying his wife suddenly had severe headaches. The rescue team arrived quickly. After learning that the woman had no relevant medical history, the doctor began to examine her pupils. When the doctor looked at her right eye, it seemed like she had found the answer. She suspected there was something in the woman's eye. She asked her assistant to bring saline solution and cotton swabs. Then, over a dozen contact lenses were carefully removed from her eye. Her husband, standing by, was stunned.
How many were in there?
More than a dozen.
How is that possible?
Well, it's a lot more common than you might think. They get lodged in the fornices, the area under the lid.
At that moment, the woman's headache mysteriously disappeared. Remember, always take off your contact lenses after wearing them.
A guy wanted a taste of chocolate, but accidentally fell into a pot. To keep the chocolate from solidifying, the pot kept heating up. Firefighters quickly brought a ladder and placed it over the big pot. They all pulled hard to get the guy out. Suddenly, the low pressure made the guy sink rapidly, almost pulling firefighters down too. They quickly inserted an oxygen tube for the guy to keep breathing. Suddenly, the guy sank again. In the critical moment, the captain thought of cocoa butter to thin the chocolate. He quickly fetched a big bucket, poured cocoa butter into the pot, and started stirring. As the chocolate gradually thinned, the guy was successfully rescued. Even in his unconscious state, the guy was still craving chocolate. Worms kept getting sucked out from the girl's mouth. Do you know the reason? Just moments ago, the woman was having dinner with her friend. She just sneezed. 2 cute worms popped out from her nose and mouth. It freaked out her bestie so much that she dialed up 911. When the firefighters arrived, the woman was panicking, begging the team doc for help. Doc told her to chill and stay put on the chair. Then, with a pair of tweezers, the doc yanked out those worms, making everyone around feel queasy. Suddenly, the woman got faint. Quick as a flash, Doc had a team member fetch a suction device. They stuck a tube down the lady's throat, and worms kept getting sucked out. Soon enough, they filled up a little bag. Turns out, the lady liked to eat organic stuff, and never washed them.
A hot mom was stuck on a balcony 30 meters high, and she was about to fall, but the crowd just watched from below. It was her son who called the police. When the firefighters arrived, they first set up a board downstairs to prevent her from falling. Then, they put a swimming ring on her. After checking, the firefighters found out that the balcony was damaged by termites, which caused the accident. At this point, the team with the tools also came up. They reinforced the area with wooden boards and used a crowbar to widen the gap. They told the woman to tightly hold onto their necks. The woman was successfully rescued, but since her legs were badly injured, she was eventually sent to the hospital for treatment. The woman was about to give birth, but her husband discovered that the baby was in a feet-down position, not head down. The chance of a normal birth was almost zero. What should they do? It turns out that because of the heavy rain outside, the couple had no choice but to give birth at home. But they didn't expect this situation to happen. Luckily, the man was a doctor. He immediately called his colleague for help. Then he found the emergency kit and the scalpel, but he couldn't find any anesthesia. This meant they could only perform a C-section without anesthesia. That was the only way to save both of their lives. After a long time, the woman was finally taken to the hospital. She had lost consciousness. Her baby was lying in her husband's arms. Several hours later, the doctor brought the good news. The woman was safe and sound. The man shed tears of relief.
Stop moving! Hey! Hey! Sir, stop!
The helicopter was teetering on the edge of the rooftop, about to fall. The muscular firefighter told the pilot to stop moving. He then instructed his team to secure the helicopter before starting the rescue.
I don't know what happened. It feels like maybe we hit a bird or something. It just happened so fast.
The muscular firefighter reassured him not to think too much. Helicopter crashes are like winning the lottery. Suddenly, the helicopter started shaking wildly. Fortunately, the ropes had already been secured. The helicopter didn't fall.
See? What'd I say? Total hot streak!
However, some debris fell down. The black firefighter below quickly evacuated the onlookers. The handsome firefighter rescued the pilot, then dismantled the door to pull out a couple sitting in the back.
Lieutenant, it's gonna go!
Fortunately, the team managed to hold the ropes just in time. The handsome firefighter made a leap and jumped out of the helicopter. The doctor realized the severed leg they were about to reattach was left as the patient's good leg.
Find the man's leg, Yang. Find it now.
Yes, sir.
The rookie intern quickly rushed to the ambulance, searching for a while. She found the right leg and hurriedly sent it to the operating room. But when the chief saw it, he was horrified. The right leg was painted with bright red nail polish, but the patient was a man. The chief was absolutely livid.
I'll go find the right leg.
Thank you.
However, after searching the crash site, the intern still couldn't find the right leg. When she returned to the operating room, she found the surgery had already started. Turned out, the paramedic had just delivered the right leg, but the colleague hadn't informed her and had gone straight to the operating table. The rookie intern was about to explode. The only thing that gave her some comfort was the patient made a full recovery.
What happened? Is anyone hurt?
Yeah, this fool. The sign says stay inside the car at all times. What the hell was he thinking?
When the firefighters arrived, the water and foam spraying everywhere made it hard for he to open his eyes. Luckily, he heard the man calling for help and found him under the brush, but his thigh was badly crushed. The firefighter quickly hit the emergency stop button, but it didn't work because of the water spraying everywhere. He ran out to tell the others and asked them to help with the rescue. They find the electric box on the wall, turned off all the switches, and stopped the machine. One of the team members also closed the valve in time. It turns out the man was a YouTuber. He ran out of the car during the wash to attract viewers for his live stream, but he never expected to almost lose lose his leg. The firefighter quickly used a hydraulic jack to lift the car. In the end, the man was rescued. Don't know if he'll still be a YouTuber after this. The woman just wanted to buy a Christmas gift for her son, but ended up getting handcuffed by the police. It all started when she finally scored a parking spot, only for some jerk to steal it right out from under her. She tried to argue, but the guy just strutted off like he owned the place. Next, at the supermarket, she got slammed by the crowds. When she finally made it to the toy section, chaos broke loose. She grabbed the last toy, only for some guy to snatch it out of her hands. At that point, even the sweetest person would snap. She went full-on chili spray mode. She started spraying him like she was on a mission. Anyone who got in her way got a dose too. Then, a voice rang out.
Hold it right there. Now get your hands up where I can see them now.
It's Santa Claus. He calmly told her to hand over the chili water and stop spraying innocent people. But she wasn't done. She sprayed Santa too. Before long, the police showed up. She secretly thought, at least I saved the toy. But then the officer hit her with,
"Sorry, but that toy's going into evidence."
What? A sequin fell to the ground, tripped the performer. Then the ice skate slid, scared the girl, knocked down the boy. The boss had to dial 911 when the rescue team arrived. They first disinfected the boy's severed finger, then found the severed finger on the ice. Luckily, it could still be reattached, but the boy who was hit wasn't so lucky. The skate pierced his chest. Only after pulling out his teammate's foot could the boy be taken to the hospital. Are you afraid of ice skates? The road ruptured. Tens of tons of oil gushed out. The car was trapped in a pit. To make matters worse, due to the airbag deployment, the woman in the passenger seat was pierced in the chest by a pen. With a cough, the pen flew out. A large amount of fresh blood kept pouring from the wound. The time left for the firefighters was limited. First, they pushed the car out of the pit. Then they quickly smashed the car window and pulled out the driver. Then the team medic jumped into the car to urgently treat the injured woman. Just as they rescued the woman and everyone was about to evacuate, a terrifying scene unfolded. The operator yelled the robber's name over the phone, warning him the cops are on their way, and he'd better listen up if he wants any chance of getting out. The robber's all confused.
Why would you do that? Because I don't care about you at all, but I care about that little girl, so you have exactly 2 seconds to make a decision here. You can either walk away from her and walk away from the police, or you can sit there and wait for whatever hellfire is about to be brought down in your head.
He locks the girl up, then sneaks out the back like the operator says. But guess what? Waiting for him at the back door is the lady cop who just got there.